Welcome to the show called The Brand Called You, where we talk with interesting people to understand the past and predict the future. Today, the brand is Dr. Nirmal Mattoo. Dr. Mattoo is a physician by training, very successful businessman over multiple different startups. He's a philanthropist, a generous one who has started and built several initiatives, and he's a very respected community leader. Welcome to our show, Dr. Mattoo.
Thank you for having me here.
My first question really is about your professional journey. You started and trained and educated as a physician. You studied at Maulana Azad, from what I remember, and then you did your residency here. And then you have started businesses. You built a nephrology practice and the largest dialysis center in New York State. And how was that? Would you say you were a physician who became an entrepreneur, or you were always an entrepreneur who just trained to be a physician?
I'd rather say I was a physician and then became an entrepreneur. The reason is that we are all products of something that is innate in us, plus what the environment teaches you. I am a Kashmiri Pandit, so we have a history of literacy for over 2,500 years, 100% literacy in our community. And the goal of a person there is to study and to be educated. Business was more or less banned in us. So becoming a physician came easy because everybody in our family and in extended family and community had a doctorate in front of his name, whether he was a physicist or an engineer or a physician. So it was easier to, and that's all we knew, that you have to study. It didn't matter whether you got billion rupees, that had no value unless you got educated. And in my case, I had certain other interests. I wanted to go into the politics, but I had to get a degree. My father was a professor, my grandfather was saying...
You said you wanted to go into politics?
Yeah, that was when I was younger. So I rather say that being physician
was the calling.
Came naturally and was the calling, because the environment in the house and atmosphere in the house was very academic. There were books all over. Entrepreneurship came rather by accident. I'll tell you how. If I was in India, I would have been a professor or a chair someplace. That's how I think my life would have been. When you come here, your eyes open a little different. You don't have the inhibitions that what will your uncle say or granduncle say or relatives say, how come, he opened a shop or he did something.
You can break away from the long tradition a little bit.
Right. I came out of India and I came here. The vision is different and the whole thing changes. You can take chances. There's nobody there really to judge you. And so I stayed here in academics for many years. I was full-time doctor. Then eventually I thought, let me try this dialysis. And that way I got lucky. I was in right place, right time. Because the dialysis was controlled by a few people here, 6, 7 doctors. They had to give you an approval before you could open a dialysis unit. But I had gone from academics into private practice. I had a huge practice base, and I was in charge of 10 different hospitals in nephrology. So they couldn't stop me. I was all prepared that I'll challenge them if they don't approve me for starting a dialysis center. So after that, because I was in all these different hospitals, I was able to establish a large dialysis unit. I got a partner and then a lot of other doctors joined me. So
this journey, obviously now what we see of Dr. Mattoo is this huge success, the size, the scale, that's visible. I'm sure when you started the journey, it was probably not as smooth. How was that journey? The decision when you said, I'm going to do this, the early days?
Early days was, I did a lot of calculations. I didn't go into it blindly. I knew that I was a nephrologist and I could do the dialysis. The question was economics of it. Will I be successful or will I be able to support it? Do I have enough resources? For that, anybody who wants to start now or anytime has to see what one's capabilities are, whether one can do it or not. Is one comfortable with status quo? Doctors do well. They don't have to open dialysis unit. Then they get good salary, good income. So should you do that? As an outsider coming into this country, I think you want to go to the maximum you can with your capabilities. Then you have to look at what your commitment is to the family. What your commitment is. There enough support system in the family to let you take these chances? Traditionally we see most of the immigrants do very well. Same people back home also. The Gujaratis went to East Africa. They did very well. The Chinese from China went to Thailand, went to Malaysia, went to Indonesia. They have done so well. Punjabis went to England, another place did very well. The same people. Because once you are outside,
you can take more risks.
You can take more risks. There are no judgments. Yeah. And intelligent risks have to be taken. I'm not saying that's go. Yeah.
Also in the knowledge economy, I think the world has changed now. It is not as far apart as it used to be, where business is chalk and cheese with something intellectual. Running a medical business obviously comes with a lot of knowledge capital as well, which is true for a lot of businesses now. Any scary moments up front? Did you ever, a lot of entrepreneurs have stories on how they made payroll and how they did this. Any stories like that?
Yes, means at times the money was very tight and I went and took a second mortgage and a loan and those kind of things. Yes, because this is labor intensive work, dialysis. Once you build the structure, then it's the nurses, the technicians, the maintenance people. And they are expensive. Nurses are one of the highest paid people in this country. So, but I had calculated, look here, every year I generate so many dialysis patients and I don't have dialysis unit. I can fill it up with my own patients. So that comfort was there. And the other thing the doctors have as compared to other professions, in a week I can go back and start making a living.
Yes.
Right? Which an engineer may not have and pharmacist may not have, but I could go and make decent money. So those things were there to support.
If some doctors are watching this and they're wondering, should I go out on my own? What would be your advice?
Advice is first you have to assess yourself very well. Do you have the personality that can take some chances and feel comfortable? You shouldn't go crazy being worried about it. Then things don't worry. You have to be in good frame of mind and think it through. You can nowadays calculate what are the costs for a dialysis, for example. I know exactly how much is the cost of the building, how much money can I generate from 100 patients or 50 patients, how much will be the cost. If you sit down carefully, you can calculate, you can figure it out. The only thing is from starting till when it becomes revenue neutral or you start making money, can you support it during that period? And
there's a dip in your earning capacity when you're doing that. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Changing gears a little bit about your other activities besides the business part. You are a well-known, well-regarded philanthropist. You've supported many different initiatives like the Stony Brook India Center, like the IAC, like the Kashmiri Overseas Association. How have you picked, what is the passion, what is the filtering mechanism by which you say, this is something I want to do, this is something I want to do?
My goal towards philanthropy is rather different than other people. People are doing wonderful work. They're feeding people, they're building hospitals. I came to this country in 1968. There were not many Indians here. And I saw a tremendous dearth of knowledge about India in this country. They're very Euro-American centric. The schools here, the colleges here, we were totally alien. And we are somewhat alien to them, even though our language is one of the Indo-European group of languages. But we speak a very different language to them. Our food is way different. Most French know what Italian eats and they eat Italian food. Italian knows what British eat. We were totally different. Our religion was totally different than their religion. So we were not the type of people they were seeing regularly. And we were already fully developed. We were educated, we were confident. So I know our history, We wrote the earliest books of mankind. We, Sushruta and Charaka and medicine and surgery, did so much work. As we were talking earlier, there's Kasarit Sagra and Pasantra.
Yeah, storytelling was very developed.
Storytelling was so developed in India. And we developed martial arts, which eventually went to the rest of China and other places from India. So our contribution was not known to these people. We had tremendous contribution in math. We invented zero, we invented numerals, quadratic equation, decimal point system, square root, and all those things. And Kalidasa wasn't known. People talk about Shakespeare and everything, but Purir Kumar Sambhava, Shakuntala, unbelievable books that were written. So I thought I want to commit myself to that, to show to this world and bring into this world our heritage, our contribution to world knowledge, to sciences, to arts. And that's why I went more towards, I got involved with the Center for India Studies and put up some endowment there so that we'll bring to this world what India has done. And then you take aesthetics, the Dhwani school of Anandavardhana, the Riti school of Bama, and Abhinav Gupta is writing here about aesthetics, that nowhere in the world they were doing that in such detail. Bharta wrote Natya Shastra, and these people don't know anything about it. And it has been communicated subtly, but not to average person.
As to an average person.
Right.
Let me ask you this. Why is it important, do you believe, that people should know that India had such a rich heritage? Why is it important? Is it not enough that you were a great physician and you could prove who you were through your professional capacity? Why is it important to bring that knowledge, or why did you feel that it was important as your life's mission?
Right. See, right now we are discussing the only thing among us that is common is we are both Indians. So that Indian uniqueness is important, right? Now, what is it all about? What makes me different than an average Italian American or a Japanese American or other? For that reason, I want to tell them this is my uniqueness, what we have been doing over thousands of years. You see, let's take a big microcosm or even microcosm. Every country, every community, every ethnic group goes from same experience. You have drought, you have bumper crops, you have wars, you have deaths, you have plague, you have peace, you have great times, you have bad times. And every community picks up, or every country picks up what is important to them. This has been written very well by Ananda Kumaraswamy in his book, The Dance of Shiva, in his introduction. You pick up what is important. And this is what I'm trying to tell. What was important to Indians? Their commitment toward philosophical thought process. Who am I? What is my role in this cosmos? What is
very high self-awareness and introspection. That has been our culture throughout.
So those things, here they write Greeks were the inventors of philosophy. No, 500,000 years back, we were doing the same school that Greeks developed. We had already developed long back,
Dr. Mattoo, you have also edited this volume, Ananya, the Portrait of India. This is a thick volume. And every time I talk to you, I'm just amazed at the breadth of knowledge and how you can quote from memory things from scriptures or classic text. How much do you read?
See, my father used to bring 2 books a day. One for my mom and one for me. Right? My mom will study, not for her, it was a week. So she'll study for it, but I used to read the book and give it. So I read a lot when I was young. Then during medical school, I was more involved in different things. Then yes, I read 3 hours or 4 hours even now, every day.
And you have a phenomenal memory. You do something.
That I just like. That I didn't do anything for that. It just was. Yes, I used to, as a young kid, read 1,000 pages and could recite them backwards. That was, my father had similar ability, so I think I inherited from that.
Tell us more about this book.
You see, what happened that Association of Indians in America, which has about 20 chapters all over, is the oldest and the first organization of Indians here. So I had become national president of that organization. And at 50th anniversary of India's independence, they decided that along with Stony Brook University, we should do something. And then Professor Sridhar and I edited this book. We selected 40 some authors. They were authorities on that subject. And I spent nearly 2 years editing it, actually, with each paper, revising it, sometimes helping them to rewrite it, because I just wanted to make sure it is an authentic book. It should reach a layperson. It should not. It wasn't. I didn't want to make it tremendously academic, but at the same time, it should not be just superficial book also.
Yes.
But lot of these authors want to bring their propaganda, so I had to fight with them so often, and so did Sridhar. But we were comfortable with the end product. We still think we missed many things, but it became too voluminous already by that time. Like dance is not that much, which is such an important thing in Indian culture, that I would have liked to have many other things in it that we did not.
Now, this journey, this book, I think, how long ago was this?
In 1997.
1997, so that's 23 years already. At what age and stage of professional career did you start finding time to devote to these activities? I see a lot of people, it's a good conversation at cocktail and at dinner to say, we should do this or we should do that. But nobody has the time to really do an endeavor like this, to dedicate 2 years of your life focusing on this. At what age did you start doing that?
You see, I have been lucky that I was born at right time at right place, family. And second thing is that I just happen to have good memory. Everybody in my class, universities, everybody talked about that. But I had not done anything for that. It just happened. It's like somebody born rich. So I didn't have to study my textbooks so much, and I spend.
So you had some extra time.
Lot of extra time. So a lot of extra time.
Yeah.
Most of my life, a lot of extra time. And so I had interest in Indian philosophy, Indian history, world history, religions. I still read before bedtime for an hour and a half Gita from different people. That I still do that, and other books. So a little bit of a curious mind at the same time.
But a lifelong of study as well.
Yeah.
Changing gears one more time to your personal interests. You said you do find a lot of extra time because you're able to absorb things quickly. If you find yourself with a free afternoon, a Sunday afternoon, what do you do?
I think I read as usual, and watch some good history program on TV or Discovery Channel, or if something good is coming. I have no problem. I can watch for 4-5 hours continuous. If something right now we have been watching that World, for example, Richard Attenborough's, they're
Yes.
showing it every. So I have been watching it. Interesting. There's so much there in the world to know.
Right.
And if you know even 1 trillionth of it, you are blessed.
So it's very clear that knowledge has been a main driver of how you have shaped your life, and how you spend your time. I want to talk a little bit about, again, the theme of saying what we see now is obviously a end product of a journey.
Right.
But during that, personally, did you at any point feel that there was some doubt, there was some failure, there was something that didn't work as well as you had anticipated? And what was your learning from it? What was that instance, and what was the learning from it?
Because we are living in a society, there are social contracts. We're not living on an island alone or on a mountaintop alone. You can do whatever you want to do. Here, there are a lot of people involved in any project, or even in your thinking. You have to drive on the right side of the road. It's not because there is some truth in it, because in India we drive on the left side of the road, but you have to follow law. So if you want to build a dialysis unit, or if you want to do anything, there are a lot of other people involved. Everybody is intelligent. Nobody is evil. That's a dictum I follow. Nobody. But people can have different points of view. If I have to describe you, I'll tell you have a glasses here, you have a white beard. Somebody sitting in your back will say, it's just like that. But describing the same person. But our perspectives, our understanding, how we were brought up, plays a part in it. And sometimes when you are younger, you try to push your way a little bit or override it, which you learn you should not do. It's not that the person is bad, a person is wrong, a person is negative. He has his own way of looking. You have to convince them to come to your side. And that was a learning process that I had to learn, because I could memorize things faster, this thing. It's just something I have. It doesn't mean that it makes me better or superior or anything. It has given me an edge over others, unfair edge in certain things. And also if you are doing in life certain things fall in the right place, you are lucky. I've seen people working very hard. Unfortunately not doing that well, right? Hard workers.
Right.
Hard work.
So the journey, the learning was that because your brilliance,
I don't want to say brilliance word.
Sure,
because
but your
advantages I had,
right.
I should not just have to curb myself.
Curb yourself.
Right.
Restrain, even though you think you're right. But and this is true to, again, Indian cultural, ekam satya vipra bahudha vadanti, has been this multicultural, multi-perspective view is very innate in some of our writings and thinking.
Because in revealed religions, this is the only life.
Yeah.
You have to prove it. That's the end of it. We don't accept that. World has been here for an infinite time and will stay here for an infinite time. Right?
So I'm sure you knew this phrase, but your learning was when you made it practical on to appreciate somebody else's perspective.
And your life becomes more peaceful and comfortable if you accept that. I never get angry. Sometimes at home I get, if they take chances with safety. That's the only time I get upset at home. You leave the door open or you leave that. Other than that, I don't care.
And if you have to ask Tina about that,
you can ask her. I get, other than that,
you don't get angry.
No, I don't.
Any fear? Do you have any fear anymore? Are you afraid of
It
anything?
means being a human being and having shortcomings of attachment and everything. You want your family and your friends
To do well.
to do well. And that's the only fears you have. There are other larger fears about how the government is running, right, at least in America right now, the right-wing hostility, racism, and those kind of things. We thought we were going to get over it, but then you see human weaknesses are there and people are not able to.
You're concerned about the utopia we were building in America maybe getting a little off track right now.
Because we thought we had internet, we had television, we know each other, we should know each other. But unfortunately, it'll take some more time. It's going to. And eventually, in a utopian society, hopefully we'll achieve it one day.
Sure. The next section is a quick pair of words. I'll give you 2 words, you pick one. Whatever comes to your mind. Ferrari or Rolls Royce?
Both.
You're going to be quick.
Maybe Rolls Royce at this age.
So luxury over very high speed.
Right.
Kahwa, which is a Kashmiri traditional drink, or Bordeaux?
Is it kahwa or tea you're talking about?
The one with almond.
Oh yeah, that's
the
kahwa.
Yeah.
If you had told me tea and Bordeaux, I'll pick tea. Right? Kahwa and Bordeaux are with toss up. Because I was studying these teas one time. There is one Dang Ho. I'm trying to remember. A Chinese gentleman bought 20 grams for $28,000.
Wow.
Only few trees left. A story goes that a king's mother was cured by this tea. And there is one Makai people have tea. It's in a tea bag. Tea bag is $15,000, but it's studded with diamonds. The cost is mostly diamonds. I love good teas. This is very interesting. Your question. I have had this discussion many times in the last 50 years. To me, a great wine or a great scotch is great, but unbelievable tea has multiple. It goes beyond just taste.
Very interesting.
I went through, actually, there was this Asia initiative. They were auctioning different things. The one was a Japanese tea ceremony. So I bid on it $1,000 actually, and we had at somebody's home, Geeta Mata's home. And there was a gentleman who came in kimono with my 3 grandkids and my wife and Tina and son and his wife. And we went through this process. No wine can come close
to that experience.
Because that transcends.
Okay, well we're going to keep going because it's supposed to be rapid fire. Bill Gates or Steve Jobs?
Bill Gates.
Hawaii or Paris?
Paris.
Okay, now one more question. If you could time travel and you could give some advice to a 25-year-old Nirmal Mattoo, what would that advice be?
With what I have learned till now?
What you have learned so far. You could just go back, carry that knowledge. What would you tell yourself of 25 years of age?
I'll tell everything I have learned, and then the whole thing will change from that.
How would it change? What would be that path?
Learning has to have an impact. And like we learn a book and we do something differently. We learn a disease, we treat it different. Oh, it will change the whole life. Things that I have done and wasted or not enjoyed, or I would travel more. That time, my parents died relatively young. I would have tried to spend more time with them. Right? So there are millions of things.
Yeah.
And to tell myself, look, time moves. So thinking I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it the day after, I'll do it next week. Enjoying the moment.
Yeah. That comes with experience.
Enjoy right that time. It's so important. I wasted a lot of time thinking another day. And then, I want to go to Machu Picchu now. I'm afraid of going there because I have bypass surgery. Right. I was thinking about it and I was cursing myself why I didn't do that 20 years back.
Last question. How would you define brand Dr. Nirmal Mattoo in your own words?
Wow. I know this program is based on that. First of all, it's very difficult. I don't want to appear narcissistic. I don't want to appear as something. I can say I'm humble. I'm not saying. I have some intellectual curiosity about substance, about things, and I may be a little bit intellectually curious. I'm learning, and so that's all I can define myself. I read, I see things, I watch television, I listen to people's story. That's what I am, I think, more or less. That's what my family
It's a curious seeker?
Yeah.
I would have gone for a wise person, but curious seeker as well.
You see, the brand, somebody else has to brand. Tell me what I am.
No, as I said, you have been all those things. A phenomenal physician, a very successful businessman, very generous. You've donated millions of dollars on charitable purposes, and a great society leader. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You podcast. Be sure to visit tbcy.in to join the conversation, access show notes, and discover fantastic bonus content. You can follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Simply search for the Brand Called You. Thank you and see you next week.